Welcome to the People's Guild, a podcast to help you better understand the Splinterlands ecosystem. Whether you are looking to enter the world of Splinterlands, whether you are looking to invest in Splinterlands, or if you are already invested in Splinterlands, then this podcast is for you. In this episode, we will be having a conversation with one of YouTube's most valuable content creators. Enjoy.
All right. Well, we've got a pretty special conversation lined up for today's episode. We've got somebody that you've probably come across on the interwebs through YouTube, maybe as far back as Fortnite streaming days, or maybe you found him more recently when he's kind of blown up with his Splinterlands content. So without further ado, we'd like to welcome Aftersound to the channel for the day. Aftersound, why don't you go ahead and give us a brief little introduction and we'll jump in.
Hey, what's going on, guys? First of all, thanks for having me. Second of all, nice deep cut there with the Fortnite. Yeah, that was something that was happening just prior to Splinterlands, and I haven't been able to get back to it as much, but I do miss it. Although I have to say that discovering Splinterlands and kind of the NFT, crypto, Web3 gaming, whatever you want to call it, the idea of being able to own your assets just made me look at Fortnite and shake my head even more. Before, it was just, I would shake my head because I'm just like, look at all these kids spending their parents' money on stuff that doesn't matter. And now I'm just like, look at all these kids spending their money on stuff they don't own. So Splinterlands changed my outlook on that and really made me feel like, okay, if I'm going to invest my time into games, I want to play well-polished games, and there's not a Fortnite of crypto yet, but Splinterlands really became one of my biggest focuses. And so, yeah, I was streaming on Twitch, started posting content for Splinterlands. This is not what I do full time. Well, people ask, I'm actually a musician, but with the pandemic, I had all this extra time to dive back into crypto. I first got interested in it with the 2017 bull run, but just like any bear market, we all fall away, or at least I did. But what's exciting now is with Bitcoin kind of being sideways, and with all of us, with a bear market essentially upon us again, I feel like crypto gaming is going to get me through this bear market because it's just so much more interesting and so much more fun.
Cool, man. Yeah. So before we get into the nitty gritty of Splinterlands and discuss all that, I was just wondering if you could tell the People's Guild about your story to becoming a musician, because from reading about you, it seems a very interesting story. So I hope you can share some of your memories and your route into
the groups music. Can remain unnamed.
Oh, this is fun. I wasn't expecting to go here, but this is great. So oddly enough, this is going to come full circle, so you guys will appreciate this. Hopefully, I got into music through gaming. If you guys remember Guitar Hero and Rock Band. So that came out, I'm going to date myself here, but that came out while I was a senior in college or university. And so I'm sorry, I was a junior, I think. Regardless, I was living in an apartment with three other guys. So there's four of us, and we were coming back. We were all coming back from our winter break, and we were driving back, and we had played this Rock Band game at a friend's place over the holiday break. And we were enthralled by it. We were like, oh, this is great. There's four of us. What if we all chip in $60, which, for broke college kids is a lot. So what if we all chip in $60 and we buy the game for the apartment? So we do that. We're literally driving back. We stop at a store, pick it up, put it on top of all of our luggage and travel things. We get back to our apartment. First thing we do is everybody unpacks and they start setting up. Now I have to go make a run and drop something off to another friend. At this point in time, I've never done anything musically. I took piano lessons as a kid, and I played in the school band, both of which I hated at the time and wanted to stop as soon as my mother would allow. And so I did stop as soon as she said it was okay for me to stop. And so musically, I hadn't really done much of anything. And so we get there, and they set it up, and I get back to the apartment, and I had called the drums because I feel like, drummers look cool, and that seemed like fun. But apparently me calling it was not allowed or invalid. So I get back and somebody picked up the guitar, somebody picked up the drums, somebody picked up the bass. So they hand me the microphone. I'm like, guys, what's going on? Like, I've never sung before. So we start playing this game, and I need to sing well, not because I'm trying to look good, but because I want us to make it to the next level. I don't want to be the guy that's holding us back from progressing within the game. So all of a sudden I'm like singing my heart out to these songs, of which I know some, I don't know others. But now it's like everyone's like, "Whoa, I didn't know you were a singer." I'm like, "I'm not. I'm just trying to get 80% so we can move on to the next track, move on to the next region within this game." But that kind of spurred it, right? Because now all of a sudden, people are like, "Oh, you can sing," and got me thinking. My roommate had picked up guitar recently, so I was like, you know what, this might be fun. I picked up guitar with him, and things just kind of blossomed from there. So it was really a gaming a gaming element that got me into music. So coming back full circle and taking this back into gaming has been a lot of fun.
That's so awesome, man. And I think it kind of even creates a new kind of maybe inner circle in that music has completely crossed paths with gaming through your collaboration with Splinterlands and the Jared Scar stuff. Would you mind telling us a little bit about the collaboration? What has that been looking like? How's it been going?
Sure. Yeah. So, I was, the thing is exactly like you said. My passion is in music, and then with really the pandemic, it was just like this diving back into gaming, diving back into crypto, and then finding this like niche crossover between both gaming and crypto was awesome, right? With the Axie Infinity boom last year. So I just dove into the Splinterlands community, and which I would say is one of the healthier communities out there. There's a lot of support around for one another. And I just thought it'd be fun to do something for the community, right? So as a musician, I was like, here's my skill set. What can I do to raise the value, raise the profile of this game? I can write a song about it. So I wrote Chaos is Here and put that out independently for myself. But after I did that, I was just like, I sent it to Nate, and I was like, okay, well, usually whenever there's like, music licensing or things like that, I was like, here's an opportunity. If you guys want to use this track for anything, it's fine. I'm not going to charge you. Just credit me, right? Like I want to be like an active and contributing member of this community and use my skill set to try to get this out further and hopefully provide you guys with an asset. So what was really cool about that was Nate got back to me and he's like, all right, he's like, we can figure out a way for us to use this. But he's like, option B is, do you want to come write some music for us? And I was like, hell yeah. that sounds awesome. And so, it just kind of evolved from there. And honestly, it's still evolving, but the creative team, I have to say, again, I'm not trying to throw shade anywhere, but I don't feel like they get enough credit for the amount of work that they do, because it's not just me. All right. Like sure, my name gets thrown around and I appreciate that, but there's a lot of people who put in some great work on the narrative side, on the writing side, on the visual side, and even on the music side. So, the stuff I'll write a lot of things, but the production that you hear, we have really talented people on the team, Asaria and Bert or Bladis, who I work with. So I want to give a quick shout out to them. So it's been really cool, and I've been enjoying it. And one of the things that I will say, because again, I'm not privy to any, like, I don't have like private conversations with Hardpoint or Yaba or Agrode. In fact, I've never spoken to them directly. So if people are just like, oh, do you have any inside info? I'm like, no, I get my info from the town halls, same as everybody else. But what I will say is what I see, having worked, the corporate side of things in a previous life, what I see is them really building out the infrastructure to take this game from a crypto project that started in somebody's garage and taking it to a AAA studio level. And I just like that I'm seeing the foundation really put in, and that gives me a lot of confidence, a lot of faith in the project.
Yeah, for sure, man. So what was your thought process for making that Jared Scar promo? Like how did you go about you yourself making it?
So they had sent me the lore behind Jared Scar, which is, I don't know, it's like 3-4 pages of his backstory, who he is, and, what he's trying to accomplish within the current narrative of the Chaos Legion. And, initially I was writing something that was just about that, trying to capture like a bard-like song that would, encapsulate that. But one of the things that we're doing as I guess like a growing company is like I was writing something while the visual team was working on something else completely. So now, or at least what we had to do was they had kind of like I forgot what it's called, but essentially like a storyboard for what they would want to put in the trailer. And then I was able to collaborate with them, which was really cool to be like, okay, this is what they're trying to show visually as a story to tell. Let me rewrite the track to put the lyrics to the proper, like, you know what I mean? Like put the lyrics to the proper images and the proper visuals. And so, you know, I thought it came together quite nicely and showed a little bit more about his character.
Yeah.
You know, is he the coolest character from the new reward set? I don't know. There's a lot that I really like, but I do like his skill set and his ability. So I'm glad that they threw him on there.
Have you managed to play with him yet?
I have not. So I have not had I've not had a life focus because, you know, with the new ranked rewards update, I haven't had a life focus that I've like really tried to hone in on because I don't have a maxed out or even a gold level version of him. I only have a single copy, and so I'm waiting to get a life focus where I can rent him at the level that I'm playing at and go all in. But you know, I'm not I think one of the things that I've learned with the last 9 months or so in Splinterlands is I'm not in a rush. I remember when I was buying like all these Pellicore bandits and, common cards at 30 cents, 40 cents, whatever it was. And now they're going for pennies, right? So for me, I'm like, I'm happy with what I'm playing with right now. I'm going to let all of the whales come in and buy up everything that they need to buy up. And then, there'll be enough left over for me. And if there aren't, then maybe that'll be another lesson learned. But right now, I think I'm good with, with taking my time.
Yeah, I think that's a clever strategy. And Waskell and I were kind of talking about this off air. I don't think, and maybe you've had a little bit of a different experience, and I don't know if you were playing Diamond Champ last season, but I don't think I came across a single of the new reward cards in any of the season as far as like fully leveled up. Have you seen many folks fielding a leveled up version of one of the new cards?
No, so to your point, I haven't seen it much. I did get beat by that Venator Kinjo guy, the legendary card that has Reflection Shield. It was a blast rule set. They put a taunt monster, put it next to a taunt monster, and it was like a perfect. I was like, this is exactly what I would use it for if I had one, but I didn't, and they did, so they got the win on me. But that's really the main area that I've seen it. I was a big fan, even though I don't own Jotun or play with Jotun, I was a big fan of the Countess Sinesh card. And then they nerfed her. And so it's like, all right, well, I guess there's that.
She still looks awesome. I actually pulled, that was the first of the new legendary cards that I pulled. I got it end of season last night. And I got one BCX. I'm anxiously awaiting for, and I've kind of steered clear of fire as soon as I moved into silver and gold. Fire, I just can't string together any sort of continuity in terms of consistent lineups and wins and that sort of stuff. But I feel like the Countess, she brings enough of kind of a skill set to the team where it's somewhat enticing to start playing around with fire again. I was going to say, and you've kind of answered this question, I'm assuming you're not getting paid in gold foil Jared scars for your cut.
No, I'm not. That'd be kind of nice though.
Hey, so like, is there anything in the pipeline with any future promos? Has anything been discussed with Nate? And if so, yes, are you able to give us a little glimpse of what you've been doing?
Well, honestly, I can't give you much just because I don't have many of the details. I can say that obviously, there's a lot of excitement over being able to put together a trailer for the new rank rewards and having that center around Jared Scar. So I know that they want to do something similar for the upcoming Rift Watchers set. So I don't have any details. I'm not trying to hide anything, nor am I trying to overshare anything. It's just there's a lot of ideas that are in the works right now. But I don't have anything for that. So are you heading to Splinterfest? I'm hoping to. Yeah, okay. I would really like to. How about you guys?
No, we're in Taiwan. We're kind of
I know. It's a bit
throw away.
It's a bit of commute, right?
Yeah, I mean, I am going home next month for a little bit of time, but I'll be coming back before Splinterfest, and I had
Now,
booked my
where's
tickets
home for
prior to.
you?
So I grew up in Texas, but I'll be going back to Tucson. My family's kind of since relocated.
What part of Texas? Just out of curiosity.
El Paso,
Oh,
so
no. Okay, cool.
barely
I'm in
barely
Houston
Texas.
now, so
Nice.
yeah, it's hot down here. That's
Yeah,
all
I
I can
think I
say.
think we've probably got pretty comparable climates with here in Taiwan. It's so humid. It's multiple
Yeah.
showers a day and aircon cranked all the time. And yeah, that's the only way to stay cool.
Now, what's interesting is I don't know where I heard this or read it, but it sounds like the team wants to do multiple Splinterfest per year around the world. So, if they were to do something in like the Philippines or Singapore, is that something that you might go to? Or is that I'm trying to understand because I'm familiar with that part of the world. I've traveled there many times. My mom is from the Philippines. So I'm just curious, if they were choosing like a hub on that side of the world, if people would be able to actually congregate or if it's more difficult.
I think in a non-COVID world, Taiwan is still in the process of kind of shifting out of changing all sorts of logistics for entering and exiting the country.
Okay. That does add
But
on to it.
in a normal world, Taiwan is such a great place for kind of serving as a landing pad or a takeoff place for all of Asia. So Tokyo is a couple hour flight, the Philippines a couple hours, Singapore, Hong Kong. You can be any of those places within a couple of hours and for a couple $100 round trip. So assuming that, and like I said, Taiwan is kind of slowly scaling back the entrance restrictions are what are the big hindrance.
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
they're in the process of scaling that stuff back. And if Splinterfest, 2023 takes place in Singapore, for example, 100%. Yeah, I'll be going with my Jared Scar bat over my shoulder, man.
That'd be pretty cool.
What kind of things have they got lined up for Splinterfest? I know they're having it, but I don't really know anything about it. What's going to be happening? Do you know what's going to be happening?
I no, to be honest, I wish I could share more information. It's just I'm not part of like that committee. I know that they want to do a lot of things, and I've heard, and this might have even been on the town hall, but like whether it's like panels or competitions or speakers, there's a lot that's being thrown out there right now.
Yeah, some kind of competition would be great, right? Big
Yeah,
screen.
if they were to do, I think as a game and as a game that has tournaments, they have to hold some kind of like in-person tournament. I think that'd be really cool. I mean, even if we're all still like using our own like mobile devices or our own like laptops, but just having everybody in the same space and being able to talk trash to one another, I think would be really cool.
I don't know much about the HyperX Arena, and as far as I know, that was kind of the confirmed venue.
Yeah.
But to my understanding, that place was essentially built as the esports mecca, right? Like it's all sorts of big screens and it's meant to host these sorts of
Exactly.
esport
Yeah.
tourneys.
So I,
Yeah.
I would feel like there should be like multiple types of competitions or tournaments. I mean, the pictures that I see look awesome, right? Because it's just like you think of any major game right now, non crypto game, but just major game, and it's just like you can totally imagine some major competition happening at at a venue like this.
Are you pushing for a karaoke competition, dude?
I'm not pushing for it, but obviously I won't say no if it happens.
Awesome. Did see that that Splinterfest they're looking to bring more kind of tangible products to the game, which is cool. The I think it was the pyromancer maybe that Nate shared as eye candy for the game. I wasn't all aboard the plushies, but I think some kind of tabletop figurines would be cool to bring home.
Yeah. I mean, it's merch, right? So they're a company
Yep.
that here's what I really appreciate. Again, going back to like the creative side and what the creative team is doing. It's like, you have like all these characters, and now you're putting in the effort to really like flesh them out, give them a story, and make people care about them for one reason or another, like hate them or love them because of the story that you build around them. So to me, that's like, okay, well, you're like investing in the intellectual property, and now it's like, well, I would totally love like a Dr. Blight plushie or something. I'm never gonna buy a Yoden plushie or a Kitty plushie because I don't want to have a plushie of a card that I'm never gonna own at this point. So give me a plushie of a card that like I actually play with, and then I'll feel like emotionally attached to it.
Would be a great. I was kind of thinking about the figurine thing, and I've been a lifelong kind of Nintendo gamer, and they kind of broke the ice with the amiibos. It's like those little figurines that have a scanner, and you can pull up unlocked characters or something like that within the game. And I wonder if that would be a fantastic marketing tool, is giving away these figurines, and maybe they have a QR code attached that is associated with an NFT of the card, and maybe every kind of same odds apply for a gold foil. Would just be an interesting way to kind of get the game out there and maybe attract some new folks.
I mean, I think that would be brilliant. Like, what's really amazing is, people within the community, and of course within the team, but just the community has so many interesting ideas on like how you could like take the marketing of this to the next level. Like that would be awesome. Like, and it doesn't even need to be with some special partnership or some celebrity. It could just be a cool collectible item. And if you make it in a way where it's like, oh, this is something that I need to have, and then I get a card in the game and there's only, X amount of these cards available and only X amount of these figurines available. I don't know. That just adds another layer to it, because now we're taking, the digital collectibles, which have utility, and then giving them some kind of real world physical presence, which there's already a market for the physical collectibles. So having that kind of digital analog be played out together would be really cool.
You mentioned you've been in the Splinterlands universe around about 9 months now, something like that. So what was the actual catalyst? What was the thing that convinced you that this was the game that you're going to swap Fortnite for and start a YouTube channel for? Like, what was the catalyst behind it all? What convinced you?
Sure. So, if you remember last summer, Axie Infinity kind of bucked the trend during the bear market. And I remember just like hearing the narrative about metaverse and crypto gaming and thinking that was cool, like a really cool idea. Obviously, I was streaming other games or Web2 games. And so I just started doing research. The thing is, and I say this endearingly, I'm not toxic, but for the longest time, and like at the beginning of last year, for example, I very much find myself like at my core to be like a Bitcoin maxi. Not like I hate everybody else, but it's just like it's the only truly decentralized project out there, and it's deflationary and hard capped, and nobody controls it, right? So at the beginning of the year, when Bitcoin was going to have its run, like I was really just in Bitcoin and Ethereum. I didn't care about anything else. Then we go through the crash and I hear about Axie, right? So now I'm interested, like, what's this gaming side of crypto? Because, gaming has utility. Gaming can be recession proof. Gaming can be bear market proof. So this is interesting that a game that has crypto elements and a crypto economy built around it is able to buck the trend of Bitcoin being down 50%. And I'm talking about last year, summer, 50%, right? Not the current market that we're in. And so I started just looking around, seeing what else was hot. I looked at a lot of games, but I never got far because, there's always so much negativity and FUD thrown out even in a bear market around games, right? So I would like get into like a Reddit, I would get into a Reddit, or a Discord, and people would be like, oh, this is such a scam, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, all right, yeah, I'm getting out of here, right? Like, I'm not even going to waste my time. But for some reason, I decided to set up a Splinterlands account. And I don't even, I think at the time, I don't even know if I had paid for the spellbook yet, but I just opened the account, right? And I transferred, actually, no, I didn't even transfer DEC from my BSC wallet into the game. But I was like, let me buy $30 of DEC. I don't know what it is, but I know this game has 2 tokens and I'm going to buy some DEC. And I come back the next day and I get airdropped some SPS, and I calculate the value of the SPS, and I'm like, this is a lot of SPS that I got dropped for $30 of DEC. And I calculate out, I'm just like, this is like 200-300% APR. What is this token? What is this game? Right. So that that
Correct.
attracted me and made me start researching it a little bit more, because I'm like, I just got dropped this free money in the game that I could withdraw if I wanted to and cash out and make out like a bandit. But honestly, it pulled me in, and this was like late August of last year, to give you a time frame. It pulled me in, and I just started playing the game. Actually, I didn't buy or rent any cards. I just started playing the game with the starter cards, which can be brutal. But when you're first starting out, you don't realize just how brutal and awful it is. It's just kind of a crapshoot if you can choose the right, mix of cards. And so, yeah, that really just got me hooked on the game. I started watching, other content creators. At Bulldog and Dwayne were some of the early ones that I was watching to learn more about it. And then I kind of just went a little crazy. So actually, it wasn't even that, because I'd been streaming so much on Twitch, and I was streaming other games, primarily Fortnite. I saw that nobody was streaming this game called Splinterlands. There wasn't even a category, right? Or there was a category, but it didn't even have like a proper photo or anything. So I was like, okay, let me just stream this and see if anybody's playing. Because those first 2 or 3 nights, I'm like sitting at home by myself. Like it's actually kind of sad, or maybe scary if I'm like considered a psychopath. But I'm like literally just like playing this card game in silence, trying to figure it out. And there's nobody to talk to. And like, none of my friends are like super into crypto gaming the way that I am. So I'm like, I need to find out like who else is playing this game. So I jump in, and all of a sudden people start showing up in the stream, and I'm just like, oh, hey, you're just as obsessed with this too. Like, you're looking for content, you're looking for stuff. And so honestly, that was just like the first part of it. And if you guys are familiar with Clove, I like telling the story because it kind of just shows to me, or made me realize, the generosity and the supportiveness of the community. And I realized that there were a couple of the streamers, and it was very sparse at the time, but I was streaming on Twitch, and, just had like a couple people in the stream, and all of a sudden I get a raid from Clove, and there's like 70 people in the stream now. And I'm like, what is going on? This is the most that I've ever had. Right. Cause Twitch is it's just something fun for me. Right. I was never like trying to like build out on the channel. So like all of a sudden these people come through, they're all sending me cards. Clove sends me a bunch of cards. She sends me 500 DEC. This is when DEC is over like a penny at that time, right? So she's sending me like $5 worth of value, plus $5 worth of just DEC value. And I'm like, I don't even know who she is, and she doesn't even know who I am. Right? Like, I've been playing this game for less than a week. What is going on? But it just like that moment for me, I'll always remember, because I'm just like, holy crap! Like this is kind of awesome. And coming from the Fortnite community, which I'm sure Fortnite isn't the only one, but where, gaming can just be super toxic. Like, I was just like, this is such a nice, like, pleasant surprise. Everybody here is just like, oh, I hope you win this game, or here's a strategy and a tip. It's not like, oh, you suck and you live in your mama's basement. so I appreciated that. And that just made me start streaming more regularly. And I don't even know what it was with the YouTube channel. I had, up to that point in time, I think I had 6 subscribers on YouTube, and I had just been using YouTube as a place to long-term store all of my Twitch streams. So if you ask me why I was doing this, I have no idea really, but I would literally download the full like 2-hour, 3-hour streams from Twitch and then post them on YouTube, just because I wanted to have like a log of them in the future, because Twitch deletes them after a week or 2 weeks or something like that. So that's all the channel was like really used for up to that point. But one day I was just like, okay, I don't even know what the first video was. Maybe it was that. It'll be fun to go back and see what the first video was. But just literally,
were you playing in bronze when you were streaming originally, and people were still interested? Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I was just playing in bronze, and I didn't own really any cards that I was like playing regularly with. Okay, I had bought a Mylar, but that's about it, which is pretty good for bronze at that time.
Yeah.
But I played in bronze or silver with level 1 cards until Chaos Legion came out, because I was like, all right, cards are like super expensive right now. I can't afford to like play this game, so I'm just gonna like be in the low levels. And then when Chaos Legion came out, I was like, let me go in on some of these packs.
I was going to ask you, why do you think the Splinterlands community is the way it is? Like you mentioned, Fortnite can be very toxic. I don't have any experience of that. I just have the experience of the Splinterlands gaming community. Why do you think there's that difference between the two communities?
Fortnite is angry high school kids.
That definitely adds to it. There's probably, well, that definitely adds to it. So you're on to something there. Okay, so the pragmatic side of me, I'll give you two answers, even though you only asked for one. But I'm going to give you two. The pragmatic side of me says that the game is still small enough where most of the people will know each other and know of each other. So, there's not a reason to be like toxic, and we don't really have the channels for that to be able to do that within the game. Like, there's no in-game messaging or communication. Like, if that opened up, I'm sure you'd start to see more like toxic messaging between people, like sore winners and sore losers.
Yeah, it's
but
probably an option they don't want to add, right?
yeah, well, I'm sure they're not in a rush, but like that's the pragmatic side. The optimistic side of me says, and this goes towards just like NFT communities and NFT gaming in general. Again, I'm not an authority on this, but from my research and what I've heard, what's interesting about platforms like this is that, or at least, and this is the first time where it's like a community built ownership, right? Like a lot of these Web2 games will have communities, but communities don't feel like they have a sense of ownership. So with NFT based communities or token based communities like what we have, which is technically both, now it's like, okay, well, whatever it is that, you do or I do, there's no reason to like tear us down, right? Or tear each other down. There's like this idea, and maybe it's like the crypto, like we're all going to make it type of idea. And, for me, that extends out into a lot of like the content creation space, because, there's a bunch of content creators that were around before and a bunch that popped up. And for me, I'm just like, I love it. Somebody once asked me directly, they're like, oh, what do you think? Like all these people are coming in because I think it's easy to make content. I'm just like, what? Like, shut up. First of all, like, I think it's great that people can come in and make content around this game. Secondly, and here's the selfish part, but I'm going to tell you why it's important. When you guys or anybody jumps in and does content, that means that you are raising awareness about the game. You are putting marketing out there for it, spreading it out, spreading, word of mouth marketing, and hopefully raising the assets and the value of assets within the game, of which I own some. So, it's just like the more people we have out here doing, spreading the good word and doing work, that everything. So to take this back again, to a more just like objective approach, like everything can be a value add, right? So it's just like anything that anybody does can add value to the entire community. So going back to me, writing that song or work, using music, for me, I'm just like, okay, what are my talents? How can I contribute to this community? Because I'm not a coder. I'm not technical. I don't know much about, development or anything like that. So it's like, well, my talent is music. So let me create something that can hopefully add value with my skill set. And I really encourage anybody, like, no matter what it is you do, if you can find a way to tie that in and help to build out the game, build out the project, build out the community, of course, do it in a way where you will be, you're able to like benefit from it. I'm not saying that has to be altruistic, but if everybody's kind of chasing what's interesting is like, if everybody's kind of chasing their selfish desires, then everybody's benefiting at the same time. And this is an interesting, development in technology and communities that is allowing for this type of incentive.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I love the way that you just worded that. And I think that's a very important kind of piece to take home is selfish intentions and kind of the greed aspect of what we all are kind of looking to achieve through this game. All of that benefits the entire community, right? We're all chasing kind of that same goal through this game, and perpetuating the game, growing the game, all of that stuff hopefully is kind of the natural byproduct of all of those individual ambitions, right?
I think it kind of just reminds me of, we mentioned this before, Ben, in the previous podcast, is that these kind of communities just hark back to the times long ago where if you lived in the community, you had to help out. And like you mentioned, Aftersound, like you're willing to use your talents to help the community, like us as YouTubers or podcasters. This is our way to kind of help the community as well as helping ourselves, right? It's like reciprocal. It just, everyone benefits from these kind of interactions.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And it's, I don't know, to me, it's like there are so many things that you could be doing or spending your time with. So to be able to find whatever your passion is and then combine it with if you're playing this game, hopefully it's because you have a passion for the game and enjoy it to a certain extent, even if it's not the actual game itself. And so it's like, find a way to tie those things together, and it's not always going to be clean and easy. So I'm not trying to, assume anybody's situation, but it's just encouragement, right? Like, and support. And, as I said to you guys, even before we started recording, it's like, if there's anything that I can do, I'm always happy to help, right? To try to connect people or put you in a place where you can succeed and hopefully build something for yourself while also building something for the community.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah. I think it's important to acknowledge the kind of the other side of the coin of community. And that is, I'm referring to the team itself. They really nurture that community input, that feedback, that whatever contribution you have from your particular skill set that you're willing to help kind of invest and grow the game. Aggro and Co, they're all ears, right? Like your promo song is a fantastic example. Bulldog is now, an integral part of the community out from the inside, going from content creator to, I think he's official titled the community manager. I think, the last handful of town halls, there's been somebody from the outside community, quote unquote, that has been featured in some aspect or another. And the something I really admire about the team is that they've held true with the open forum, the QA, and addressing those questions head on, not editing the questions. If it's, kind of a triggered question that's very obviously coming from a place of emotion, they read it as is, and they feel it for the world to see. And I love the transparency that those guys bring to the table, and that, kind of cycles back into naturally encouraging that continuing feedback and collaboration and investment of skills into growing the game.
Yeah, I mean, the 2 hours a week doesn't seem like much, but you compound that over months and years. And I appreciate, like you said, one, the transparency, two, like the commitment to coming in and answering questions. And I think one of the things that has become contentious with like the town halls is a lot of times now it's updates that are not really like forward looking, but backward looking. So it's just like, oh, well, here's like what we've been working on, and here's like the new team members and all this stuff, rather than like, what does everybody want to hear? Like, when are we getting this feature? When are we getting land? When are we getting that? And so, it's now a big ship that has 100+ people in it, versus a year ago when, it's probably just a handful. So these things take time, and I am just like everybody else. And if you check out my channel, I share my frustration. At Modern and Wild is still the bane of my existence. And if Agarod or Yaba ever wants to talk to me about it, I will tell them exactly how I feel. But it's like, I get it though. It takes time to really like build something awesome. And so I just appreciate the fact that they do come through on a weekly basis and try to answer questions, and they don't, as you say, they don't sugarcoat things. There were some severe issues, I think, with the game economy when it came to bots, and we don't have to get into the whole bot conversation here, but I just appreciated the fact that they were, for the most part, I'll be honest, for the most part, they were tackling these things head on and listening to the community, or at least they were listening to the community, and trying to make these changes. And again, I think the frustration just got so pent up because this ranked rewards update, we all probably would have wanted it months earlier, rather than, the game economy kind of bleeding out for 5 months after Chaos Legion.
Well, to be fair, and kind of watching the content creators over the last couple of months leading up to the ranked rewards getting rolled out, I feel like the bot conversation kind of came to a head and exploded all at once. I mean, maybe I just wasn't paying as close attention when, these feelings started to kind of bubble up, but I feel like it came in really hot and heavy in, a very short time span, and then ranked rewards was released, and that's kind of, I think, calmed the masses. And now, and we talked about this last week, I feel like bots, it's important just to look at a bot as another player, right? Like, maybe they're farming rewards, but they have to contribute to the economy in order to justify that farming, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It did seem like it came out of nowhere, but I think that's because most of us, myself included, just weren't paying attention to it, right? Until, I'll credit Gank and Tales from the Cryptmancer for really diving into the blockchain data and details. Because for me, I even look back at this and say, okay, like if bots were coming in and sucking dry the rewards pool, well, that's just the nature of how the game was designed then, and they needed to update the way that the game was. But it wasn't really like, it wasn't really like against terms of service. It's just people came in, they fair and square paid for an account, and were able to do this within the terms of service essentially. The win trading though, when that came about, that was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is something that could be really bad. And I think those definitely got conflated and put together. And all of a sudden, it's just like all this anger towards bots became, very generalized of like, oh, bots bad, bots bad. And the truth is like, I will say, even though I'm bot neutral, that ultimately, like, what's the goal of a bot? Somebody's just trying to extract more value, and extract value may not be the right term, but it's like they're trying to get more out of something for doing less. And it's just like at the time, I could live with it. The win trading thing definitely got to me, and I know that's something that they're actively working on. But as you said, now, like the here and now with the new ranked rewards, we are in a position where they have to be contributing members to the economy, and I'm hopeful that the team's going to look at this and say, well, how can we shore this up even more and make sure that they're not just contributing, but hopefully constructive like members of the community too. So, we saw the drop in daily active players. We saw the drop in battles. I think hopefully that should settle the crowd down for a while as we all get excited about this. The other thing too, and I've maintained this, is the new player experience, or for people playing at the lower levels, it sucked. Like it was awful, right? And it wasn't even about going up against the bots. It's just like you play and you try and win your 5 games a day just to get one chest that has a 10% chance of having a card in it. And like getting a card is like the most important thing. So yeah, if you're a bot and you can play 24/7, you're going to get your card, right? And you're not going to have like a life that you need to get back to at any point. But people couldn't do that. Whereas now people can. And, even if you're playing in bronze, you can still come away with a couple chests per day and get a good card drop rate.
Yeah. I think with the thing with bots, I think possibly the reason why we weren't hearing all this negativity towards bots was that people were making lots of money, right? Like the cards were appreciating at a good value. And, when things are going well, there's no real reason to kind of complain. But when the markets start to go down, then I personally feel that's when I start to hear this kind of negativity towards the bots. And probably it's like most things, like you see with the markets happening now, once something gets out there and then it gets traction, then everyone kind of jumps on that wagon.
I think what you hit upon is probably the biggest point, or the nail on the head. Like, when times are good, nobody's really checking to see how the engine is running, right? Like we're all moving forward and things are fine. But as soon as we start slowing down, it's a quick and easy way to find like, okay, what's causing the problem?
Yeah.
Right.
Who can we blame?
Yeah. Who can we blame? What's causing the problem? The value of my assets are going down and people are leaving and this sucks. And so that definitely played a role in it. And I think I personally was surprised to see just how prevalent the bot problem was, right? Because when you're in it, right, I'm thinking back to like October, November, I'm just like, this game is going to be the greatest thing in the world. Look at this. They just got their millionth spell book. There's like 500,000 daily active users. Like this is going to be the next big thing. Sign me up. Like where do I buy more SPS? But
Land going for $500 and
oh my gosh,
Oceanus is going for $50. Yeah. Like it was like boom city.
Yeah, but then everything slowed down, like you said. I always forget what the saying is, but it's like, when the tide rolls out, you see who's like still wearing their pants, like who's running around naked, and it's just like I think when that started to happen, it's just like people started looking around and being like, okay, well, what's the issue here? Why is this game failing? But the truth is, the entire market is down, right? So it's not just Splinterlands, but that doesn't mean Splinterlands doesn't have problems. And the game economy definitely needed to be fixed, which I'm really happy with the ranked rewards update. How are you guys feeling about it now that we're season in?
Yeah, Ben, do you
Why
want
don't
to
you
kick it off?
go? Yeah,
All
sure.
right,
So the first
pass the
couple of
buck.
weeks, my dailies were awful. I was in a very serious drought. I think I pulled a handful of the new reward cards. Most of the stuff I was getting was from the previous era batch of reward cards. DEC left a lot to be desired. I got one pack throughout and this is in gold one, and
Mhm.
I achieved gold one on maybe day two of the new season. So I was competing at a high level for a significant number of our shares. I was averaging between I would say probably 12 and 18 chests a day. Um, I the saving grace was end of season. I pulled a pretty substantial, about a $20 value on end of season. I got the
With
Countess. I got a
the
pack. I
Countess.
got
Congrats on that
yeah,
again.
yeah, nice man. I'm excited to get her in the lineup. And I pulled about 5,000 DEC. So the uh the, the previous 2 weeks were definitely vindicated with the end of season rewards.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know if my strategy is necessarily going to change. I think I tried to steer clear of renting cards for my gold account, um, just because they're so expensive to rent at the higher levels. I
Hmm.
think if you're competing in bronze, silver, it makes sense to throw down on a killer summoner, even a bunch of gold foil stuff. That's what I was doing, was renting out 5 or 6 gold foil cards, and just like we were cleaning up on the alt accounts. But yeah, all said and done, and kind of looking at the first season as a singular package, I think yeah, very satisfied with it. It's good stuff. Wasco?
Yeah, yeah. I think I was similar to Ben. Like, I think it. Remember, it started off well, and then it just tailed off. And I was, yeah. I think one day I got 14 chests. I really grinded. I had a Dragon Quest, so that's like one of my favorites. And yeah, when I opened it, it was just potions, 8 DEC. So that was just like really deflating. I think I sent Ben a message just like, I'm not going to grind tonight. But then, of course, as soon as I opened up the door, put my bag down, I just switched on my laptop and I was back on it again. So I don't know. It's just something about this game, man. It just pulls you in. That maybe it's just the chance of those chests. I was saying to Ben last week as well. If it's that easy to get gold foils, then it's something's broken in the game, right? Then it's not that special when you do open that chest. So maybe it's just that thing. I just like the chance of getting that gold foil in my next lot of chests was the thing that kept me going. And yeah, I also had a nice end of season chests. Mine was close to $20 and about close to 4,000 DEC. And I'm in gold one as well. So yeah, pretty similar to Ben. How about yourself? Are you like I know your strategy was champion and diamond, right, as well?
Yeah, I'm punching above my weight. I don't belong there, but my guildmate Darkest Night is he's always trying to run experiments, and so he'll like send me cards and be like, tell me how this team works, tell me how. So what he wanted to do the season before the ranked rewards, he's just like, okay, what we're gonna do. He's like, I want to race you to champion. He's like, I'm gonna use basically a wild deck, which includes Untamed, and he's like, I'm going to delegate you essentially a maxed out Chaos Legion deck. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to say no to this, right? And so obviously he beat me, but also that's because I think he's a better player than I am, and he's way more knowledgeable and dedicated to the game. But because of that, I was able to make it to champion, and
Mm.
so got the champion rewards and had the champion level chests, but it was such a grind in diamond. And I will be the first to say, like, I mean, there were days where I was like, I'm just gonna get one chest, and like as soon as I get one chest, because I want to get at least one chest a day, that'll be fine. So I probably averaged between 1 to 3 chests the entire dailies for the season.
Mm.
um
And just to clarify real quickly, after sound, that was competing for champion chests at Diamond 3, is that right?
at diamond 3. So I
Yeah.
finished last season at champ 3, which meant that I was going for champion chest, but then I started in diamond 3, and I was able to make it back to champ. Now, again, he won the race, so he did it like halfway through the season. I was able to make it back up to champ by maybe 24 or 36 hours before the end of the season. And so I was like, do I really want to do this again next season? Because I don't know if he was going to take back the cards or not, but he's like, I understand. He's like, I understand that you're going to need like to cool down. Cause I primarily play in gold as well. My summoners are maxed for gold. But my monsters aren't. So I'm still working on maxing out my Chaos Legion gold deck. And so, so yeah, it's been fun. And I will say what's interesting to hear though, is I'm curious to know how many gold chests you guys each had, because it sounds like you both ended up with roughly $20. I finished with 50 champion chests and I got about $26 worth of value. Oh. So to me, that actually makes gold sound somewhat nice, right? Because it was a grind in champion. And while I'm sure that it's definitely a grind in gold too, in gold as well, I should say, I'm much more comfortable in gold. I like the meta down there. I don't get destroyed by all these like alpha and beta dragons that just keep on beating me down and keeping me in diamond 3. Because I don't know, man, all those like OP alpha beta cards, they get ridiculous abilities at level 4 or like the, the maxed out level. So every game, it's just like for the last 2 seasons, I'm like studying these cards. I'm just like, I didn't know it could do that. So now
hey, but I saw your stream. You uploaded it a few hours ago in Champion. You were going through a run of 4 in a row or something.
Oh, okay. So
did that continue?
So the last 2 seasons, or the last season before this, every time I've made it to champ before, I have not played a game in champ. I have always, I've always just stopped because I didn't want to lose my place. And then this time around, because it doesn't matter if you drop back down, right? Because it's the highest that you achieved. Yesterday, I was like, all right, let me play a couple games in champ while I'm here. I might as well. So yeah, I'm technically 4-0 in champ, and I'm considering retiring from the game on top. So
hey, not a bad way to go out, undefeated. Right? Just don't ask for the details.
Just don't ask for the details. Yeah. So we don't need to know that there's an asterisk next to the record here, but
then that kind of shows this is a positive of the new ranked reward system, right? That before you would just get in there and just like throw down your tools and say, I'm not fighting anymore. But now, like, you actually get a glimpse of what champion is like, right? So now you're probably not so terrified.
No, not at all. And it's not official yet, but I heard a rumor from Matt himself on a different stream that they're planning to change the daily quests around.
Yeah,
and so now your daily focus is not daily quest, but your daily focus is going to be based on where you are currently. So like, let's say for example, like, I'm still going to be going for season chests in champion season chests, but with the new season that comes in, I get dropped from champ 3 to diamond 3. Right. And so when I start that focus in diamond 3, I go for diamond chests that day. Which means I technically would be able to get more because my R shares would count towards more. Or they would cost less R shares than the champ chests. And it's like I get to obviously the value of the diamond chests aren't as high, but hopefully I can get more of them based on the league that I'm playing in, while still earning seasonal champion level chests. And I like that. I mean, again, it hasn't been implemented and I haven't tested it, but I really like the idea of it because I think it solves a couple problems for the people who like go up too high and realize that they can't compete at a certain level. It allows them to go back down and still enjoy the season. Yeah. And then it takes away the exploit that, I was doing on my alt account where I would run it up with bronze level chests to gold and just playing gold. And like, so like I said, I have a gold level deck and I just delegated it to my alt account, which I hadn't touched in months. And so running it up from bronze into gold, I would check in once a day, see what the focus is, and I would play one game with 100% ECR, and one win would get me 14 bronze chests. And I was like, boy. Oh my God, this is amazing, right? So I'd play like 2 or 3 games. Once I hit 20 chests, I was like, good. Now, the quality of those chests was usually garbage, but at the time, it was like, I can get 1 chest in champion for really grinding, or I could go win a couple games in gold and get 20 chests. So, the quantity, the ability to roll the dice that many times was very appealing.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer, right? I mean, getting just the prospect of getting 20 chests to open, like the novelty of opening the chest is such a fun experience, right? Yeah. And I think this goes back to your initial point of changing the user experience for bronze, grinding for that one chest versus now you can grind and get double-digit chests. That's such a vast difference. Huge.
Well, and I will say this too, and again, this is an N of one, right? So it's just me, but I have won I got a Jared Star in my bronze account, in the account that I was getting bronze. I have not gotten a legendary at all in any of my champ chests the entire season, 50 end of season and however many that I was getting throughout the season. So, again, is that a perfect representation? No, but it's like the idea to, whenever you open a chest, it's just like the idea of like rolling the dice and getting that many dice rolls is kind of fun.
Yeah. I saw a video with Hawks. I don't know if you follow him, Aftersound, Hawks 21. And he had accounts in silver and his main one was in diamond. And kind of, it sounds similar to yours. His silver account was more profitable than his diamond account. Yeah, like I personally, and Ben, you had close to 80 chests in gold, right? And I had 72 in gold as well, in gold one.
Sounds like the potential fix that's in the pipeline that you were just alluding to, Aftersound, is going to solve that, right? Because that should not be happening. A silver account should not be making more over the course of a season than somebody in diamond or gold or champ. That just seems impractical and unsustainable.
And you probably grind your main account more than you do your alt account. So his silver was, for example, Hawks, his silver account was his alt account. So he wouldn't have grinded as much as his main account in diamond.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because everybody's just like, oh, I'm going to open up an alt account now, right? Or open up multiple alt accounts and just like do this all over. So I don't know. I looked at that and I was like, well, that's kind of not really what the team wanted, right? They wanted people to consolidate accounts, and now everybody's getting incentivized to open new accounts. So it definitely solves that. I wonder how much it slows down the print rate on cards though, because I felt like, we had like a full season of people just kind of exploiting the situation, which again, I didn't mind because it's like, okay, before only bots could really take advantage of the situation by like scaling up the amount of accounts and then getting that one chest per day. But when you scale up high enough, you get a good profit from it. But now people were actually putting in the work, and they would have to either rent the cards or delegate or whatever the case is. Again, be part of the community and actually do the work of playing the game and then be rewarded for it. So I loved it, right? At the time, I was like, I have zero problem with this. I think this is great because people are the bots, right? So we're trying to get as much out of this game as we can. And now there's an opportunity to do so, but you don't need bots, or bots aren't going to be the most ideal for going about it, right? You have to actually strategize and build up different accounts. Now it's going away, or at least it sounds like it will go away. But again, even for those who are in bronze or just starting off, I think the new player experience is tremendously better.
Yeah, I think it's great in this game that they're able to make the changes quite quickly, right? In other games that come out, I don't know how quickly you can make changes, but it's great that the team is listening or aware of certain issues and able to implement changes so quickly.
I'm sure there'd be many disgruntled people in the community that would disagree with you, but but I agree, and I think they're just finding their footing now, because if you've noticed, they have this like weekly maintenance windows, right? So Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I think for the longest time they had all these things that they needed to update, they just weren't finished with it yet. So now that they've implemented this, I think whenever there's small tweaks here and there, there's like a pipeline or a structure for them to do so. So to your point, now I think we're in a good spot.
And I think as we progress over the next month, hopefully we get quite a few kind of fine tunings, and then it culminating with the bigger introduction of modern versus wild. But it sounds like everybody's sentiment is pretty much agreeing that ranked rewards was great for the game, and it's only going to continue improving. When we get this new mechanic that you just referred to, where you're competing for chests respective to your current league, the new focuses, I think, is going to make a huge difference, because I absolutely, that's the one gripe I have about the ranked rewards is essentially having to spam the the Splinter. It's just not fun, right?
I do hope that comes in sooner rather than later.
It sounds like it will. I think it sounded like it would be a couple of weeks. But to your earlier point, you've heard a couple of weeks for Modern and Wilds, more than a couple of weeks.
You know how to push my buttons, don't you?
Yeah.
I think that they want to just get maybe a season, maybe 2 seasons in before they start making changes. But yeah, I mean, I would look at this and I would say this is like the biggest gripe the community has right now. And if I was, Matt or whoever is working on this, I would say like we should roll something out as quickly as possible. That should probably be on the priority list, because most people would agree. I like the Splinter spam, and I still agree with you, right? Like the Splinter spam is fun because the metas just kind of change. It's like I'll go through and it's forcing me to rent like different summoners of the same Splinter, which is fun for me to kind of like, oh, like how can I shake things up? I'm still going to play the same monsters in the same Splinter, but they don't know if I'm coming in with, a summoner that does this X, Y, or Z. And so it's been fun for me, but that's only because it's honeymoon stage and the novelty hasn't worn off yet.
Sure.
I'm going to ask you kind of, so we're talking about like the new changes in the ranked rewards. And I was just wondering on a personal note, what are your main concerns about the future of Splinterlands? Like for it to continue to prevent it from growing the way we hope?
My personal concerns, I sleep at night, but I'm terrified of a hack, right? Because I think like we're one hack away from everybody's assets being stolen. And that's like something that I don't have control over. And this is not a comment or commentary on like Splinterlands security practices, because I only know what they've shared in the town halls, and I can only assume that they are taking this as seriously as possible. So, it's not like I'm trying to call them out or anything. It's just we've seen hacks in other projects, and I think to believe that it would never happen here is kind of naive. So, part of me is always thinking about that in terms of like, okay, well, how can my assets be as safe as possible while still being able to be utilized, right? Like, for example, if I was going to hold a lot of DEC, I'm not going to hold it in the game. I'll hold it on like a private wallet. I'm going to lock my cards to make sure if somebody breaks into my account specifically, then, my assets are locked. But I don't know. Again, I'm not technical, so I don't even know if something like this is possible, but the ability for someone to just like literally break into the servers and then just take the value of everything, right? You know what I mean? Like essentially like a backdoor, and take everybody's value. Like if one day we all walked in and like all of our SPS was gone and sent to this other, private wallet, and there was no recourse for that, that would be terrible. But again, I'm not trying to create, Splinterlands specific FUD. It's just those are the things that I think about like in terms of like concerns. When it comes to the team, when it comes to like what they're doing in their, I don't have any concerns necessarily. I may disagree with some of the actions that they've taken. And if you've, been on my channel, one of the things that I'm worried about, or at least that I've been having gripes about, is like the utility of SPS long-term. And so, or even short-term, I should say. Long-term, I think that it will have the ability, and maybe I'm just, whining like a baby about it now because it's not here yet. But ultimately it's like, we're getting to a point where SPS is about to be a year old, and the token has seen a 95, maybe even more percent drop in value. And sure, a lot of it is being diluted right now, and maybe they're waiting until the end of the airdrop to provide some value and utility. But overall, like I look at it, I'm just like, I'm disappointed in it. And then this whole giving vouchers to the nodes was like a straw that broke the camel's back for me, because I'm like, SPS does one thing, it gives you vouchers, and now you're going to take that one thing and give it to something else. So that was my biggest gripe. So in the short term, not happy about that, but I do have a fair level of confidence that eventually they will add in some utility. And people have talked about like the whole ECR thing. I think is an interesting way. Like I'm not smart enough to think through all of the different implications of that and how it could be exploited, But I like the idea, right? Like use stake DCR or use a voucher, or use something that uses SPS or what SPS gives you as a way to like drive some value to the token. Because as I say right now, like I love SPS. I'm not selling my SPS, or I haven't sold my SPS yet, but I like nobody's buying it. Nobody's buying it because they need it, right? People are
Even at
buying
these
it because
prices, right?
people are buying. Yeah, people are buying it because they're speculating that it'll have value in the future, but they're not buying it because they need it right now. In fact, most people are selling it because they would rather buy things they can use right now, aka cards. So it's when we look at the price, like that's price is going down. What does that mean? Well, more people are selling than buying. So ultimately, the market is speaking for itself, and until we see some kind of ongoing utility, which again, long term, I'm confident will come through. I guess I'm just impatient because who doesn't want to be, rich in SPS and cards and everything now. But those are probably like the deeper issues with the hack, and then kind of like the game economy issues that I have. But again, I disagree with what they're doing, but I can understand that I'm not privy to seeing the entire picture of what they have laid out. Sure, they have a roadmap, but I know that they're like discussing a lot of ideas that have not even been mentioned in a town hall yet.
Yeah, it seems like when they go through with something, they kind of will. I don't know whether it's the case for always, but they do, like, for example, land. They're just making sure everything's in place before they kind of allow people to utilize land, right? So possibly they're doing something similar with SPS. But yeah, it's just that you can just only speculate at this time, right?
Yeah, Aftersound, the security piece is an interesting one that I don't have a significant amount of kind of liquid assets that would be easy pickings for somebody who came in, but there are a ton of folks who are holding boatloads of DEC that have to share that same concern. And it sounds like Kieran and I, Waskell and I, we equally share a license. I know both of you guys are kind of landholders, and kind of thinking about the greater non-card market and those NFTs. It's not possible, as far as I know right now, to lock those assets, right? So those folks who have the better part of 200 licenses, that's not an insignificant amount of USD that's just kind of floating out there for a potential hacker, right? But thinking back to a town hall, I don't know if it was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, at some point in the last couple of weeks, Matt did kind of share his thoughts that security and asset protection within the game for the players is front of mind. I'm expecting some sort of answer to that to come in the sooner rather than later, because especially as something like land begins to get revealed, the true value of those non-card NFTs is going to be revealed to the world, and make it that much more enticing for the potential hacker to come in and swipe some NFTs.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. I think it was a couple of weeks ago they had maybe the head of security come on and chat, and I mean I think it's something that they need to shore up. Like if we want to get like bullish for a second, and for people who listen to me, just pretend I'm not bullish, because I usually don't get bullish on the channel. But if we actually go with where the team is expecting things to kind of play out, right? So again, this isn't my thought, but I'm just kind of piggybacking on their thought, where Algorand is posting this stuff about Chaos Legion packs selling out in November. Well, them selling out in November, that doesn't all just happen in November. It starts leading up, beforehand. So when they talk about this like summer of Splinterlands, it makes me really wonder what ideas and what implementations and what all kinds of like cool things they want to put in after the end of the airdrop. Because I know that is something they've mentioned on several occasions as like this, oh, we can't wait until this is done so that we can do X, Y, and Z, right? We want to see how the economy shakes out before we make some major changes. And I can understand that, right? Like even now, when I'm complaining about like SPS not having utility, I can totally understand the conversation in the back room being like, let's not mess around with like the SPS value right now. Let's see how things shake out after the airdrop and then start adding things in. And that would be totally valid. It's just, I'm impatient, right? So it's like that's where I'm at with this. But if we do start to see that kind of rush in, right? If the marketing starts to ramp up, if the partnerships with Warner Music start to bear fruit, if the crypto market maybe doesn't rebound, but let's say SPS starts to pick up in value and becomes that one green candle in a sea of red that other people will just come into because they're interested in what's this project that's doing well while the rest of the market is bleeding. At that point in time, I think it seems like what the team is working on, at least for the next 6 weeks until the end of the airdrop, is let's shore up all of the things to make sure we can really scale up so that if and when big money or a lot of little money comes into the game, we can make sure we have everything kind of buttoned up, right? And security would hopefully be a big part of that. Because I think, didn't they say like the head of security has only been there for a couple of weeks or a couple of months? So yes, I sleep at night, so this isn't keeping me up. It's just something that as I you read enough crypto headlines and you're just like, oh, I hope this doesn't happen here.
Yeah, it's also kind of a sign of the times, right? And going back to what we were talking about earlier, the kind of rise in emotion definitely correlates with the decline of the crypto market and all the negativity that kind of surrounds that entire market. I mean, everywhere you go, you turn on the TV and Bitcoin is all over the headlines. My parents are a good example. They have no idea what Bitcoin is or what it does. I think they probably still assume it's something that looks like a penny and fits into your wallet.
You got an orange pillow, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that sentiment is also, like I said, kind of a sign of the times. And I think a lot of that stuff, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out. And real quickly, going back to the security piece, I don't remember exactly when on the roadmap the non-card market is meant to hit the Splinterlands site, but I wonder if that's going to be kind of part of the bigger picture of the code that goes into production is introducing that additional layer of security for these non-card NFTs. I don't know.
That's a good point. I remember hearing from someone else that this is supposed to be for Q2. I mean, we're 2 weeks away from the end of Q2, so I don't think that we're going to get it now. So this might be one of those things that gets pushed into Q3. But I can definitely see where you're coming from. Where once people are able to like kind of move assets in and out of the game much more easily, as well as transact within the game, it'll be good to have it available to be locked down, because then they don't have to like deal with Hive Engine and all that.
Yeah,
I think also with like SPS for this, the price to rise, people want to know what is the plan for the future, right? Because there's no point investing in something that you are unsure about. That's just like bad investment, right? Mm-hmm. But if we are given clear indication of its utility, of its future, then you could quite happily start DCAing. Even at this price, it could go lower, it could not, it could start to rise. But I would be more confident in investing in something where I know that there is a roadmap for it. But I think until they do that, then the price is just going to be stagnant. And if not, and the current conditions go even lower.
Yeah. And, before we hit record, we were talking about how, SPS, one of its use cases now is like as a currency, right? It's used to transact in, or it's used to transact. And one of the things, it's like, okay, that's fine that it's a currency, but you're still pricing things in USD. So it doesn't really matter how or when people buy in. Sure, that could create like a rush, but it's not like I need to own X amount of SPS in order to do this, right? Like if I want to get a node right now, it doesn't matter if the price of SPS falls tomorrow, because I'm going to buy SPS at the time that I need to make the transaction, and I'm going to get my $1,500 worth of SPS for $1,500, and then trade that in, right? Yeah. Whereas if they had priced it in SPS, again, I haven't thought through what the implications of this would be, but I look at like Waka was the same, and now you have this ongoing node sale, and it's like, okay, well, if it's still priced in USD, then does it really matter? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not going to have it's not going to have that ongoing utility, or it's not going to have like this kind of floor value that people will give it to. But
yeah, I think the last I have been continuing to stack SPS, and that's in the name of kind of the last unique surviving utility specific to SPS, and that's tournament entrance fees, right? A lot of the big payout tournaments, they require bigger number of
SPS.
staked SPS, but also the reward for those tournaments is additional SPS, which kind of takes us full circle to what do I do with it, right? Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see kind of what utility is applied, and I have to imagine that Matt and co are kind of coming up with a gamut of utility to kind of blanket SPS with, to encourage folks to stop flooding the market with putting that stuff up for sale. Is there kind of a single idea or a couple of ideas that you've seen Aftersound floating around, either in Mav chat or from some of the other content creators, that you feel like is going to be a significant enough driver of utility around the SPS token that will kind of buck the trend and get SPS back on the rise?
Well, sure. I'll share a couple. So we talked about ECR and how that could potentially be used as, or like either you lower the ECR consumption every time you play a battle by having X amount of SPS staked, or you increase your regeneration rate on SPS if you have X amount staked. And that could be somewhat of a moving and decreasing target over time, because it's like, as we get more daily active users within the game, then you drop it from maybe 1,000 SPS to 750 or 500, because there's only so much SPS to go around, and that's kind of the beauty of having a hard cap token. So that's something that I could see having ongoing utility, and people have brought it up in the town hall, and Matt said it's interesting. But I again, I'm not trying to knock on him or the team. It's just like the amount of things that they've said are interesting and they've put into the game is a very diverse and wide ranging list, right? So whether or not we actually see that come through, I'm not trying to be, bearish. I'm just trying to say, like, okay, well, we need to really think through what are they trying to get at here? What are they trying to implement? And to me, it's more like what's long-term utility going to look like? So I think the ECR is something like that's a fundamental part of the game. I think that's important. The other thing that I've seen at least thrown around was when ranked battle rewards comes in for SPS. And again, I'm not particularly excited about that, because it's like, we're just going to be printing more SPS and people are going to be getting it as a reward now, which they'll probably end up selling. So we continue like, the downward pressure on it. There's just going to be less of it coming in because the airdrop was like the big fountain. And so, sure, if you offer higher rates, or like let's say right now, for example, you play and get like a 10% bonus for using like a gold card or an alpha card. So let's say in the future, if you wanted to have a 10% bonus on the amount of like SPS that you win per battle, maybe you have X amount staked. That could be something too. But here's the thing. The SPS ranked battle rewards is only going to last for, it's going to last for 65 months per the white paper, which seems like a long time, but it's not infinite, right? And when I'm looking at building out a game, I want to know, how is this going to function forever, not just 65 months, not just 5.5 years. So, that'll have some utility for the short term, but I don't know what that would look like long term. But hopefully, if they did provide some other methods of like earning, or ways that you could increase your earning or reduce your ECR, those are the two ways that I think it could have the most ongoing utility, because people play every single day and will want to maximize their earnings. I mean, how many people play specifically from 100% ECR down to 75 or 70% because they want to maximize their earnings? I'm sure it's a lot of them. And I'm sure those would be the people who go out and say, okay, I need to have X amount of SPS stake. Let me work towards stacking that much to make sure that I can maximize my earnings.
Yeah, I'd actually be interested to see, of the daily active users, what is the average ECR? Because I feel like, and we talked about this kind of on your stream a few weeks ago, starting an ECR anonymous group, because I'm definitely I'm 100% an abuser. I think my ECR, I am addicted to injecting as much of that ECR into the game as I can. And yeah, I'd just be curious to see what is the overall average ECR across the daily active users.
That would actually be really interesting if they were able to pull that data.
Yeah, I wonder if it's worth mentioning that in town hall and seeing if those guys would address that. I'm sure they have the data. They must have the data.
The thing is, how much of that will be skewed by bots just running this thing down all the way?
But that's also okay, right? That's valuable data, and that they, especially now that they have to buy in order to
fair.
accumulate the rewards. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think what all three of us can agree on is we don't want to see a band-aid solution in terms of SPS utility. I think, thinking those 65 months out, and I'm sure the team is along that same thought process in terms of overall timeline. We want ongoing and perpetual value coming from staking SPS.
I mean, the truth is, I actually would have been happy, and I was buying SPS regardless if its only utility was just to have vouchers. But the thing is, I lost a little kind of faith when vouchers were given to nodes as well, because I'm like, okay, I can live with the fact that, like, SPS utility is going to be vouchers, and you're telling me that vouchers are going to be your access to the coolest and newest things in the game, right? Because I know those things in the game are coming. We saw it with Waka. We saw it with, several different things, and we know that they're working on a bunch of different areas. So now the fact that they've given that utility to nodes as well makes me feel like something else needs to be given to SPS now. Whereas before, I didn't necessarily feel like that. Now, like, I'm only at that point now where I'm just like, okay, I really want to see what their plans are for this token, because if it had been the only way to give vouchers, I would have been happy, but now it's not. So I feel like you need to add or layer something in on top of that.
I'd be curious to see what was the team's kind of forecasted sales cycle for pre-sale and tranche one. I think all three of us were part of the pre-sale launch party and watched everybody's minds get blown when pre-sale was gone in 10 minutes. Yeah. Matt made it very clear that his expectation was maybe 24 hours, maybe 2 days. But what was that expectation for tranche one? And are we on pace with that? The gist of what I'm getting around, there was a lot of kind of pointed feedback around licenses immediately being granted. The reward in the way of vouchers being distributed daily. And I wonder if, was that a knee-jerk reaction? Was that a way for Matt and co to entice further those big whales? Because, we heard multiple occasions, there is significant money that's kind of waiting in the wings to buy into these licenses. Was this kind of that final push to further attract that money? Because we still haven't seen licenses fly off the shelves, right? They're still kind of hovering between 2,500, somewhere around there in tranche one.
2,300, 24 left.
Okay.
Still quite a bit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't tell you because I wasn't privy to those conversations. But what I will say is that every action that they've taken in the last couple of weeks, including, moving up the voucher rewards a week after the sale goes live, it kind of feels a little knee-jerk-y if I have to give an opinion on it. So to be fair, the biggest criticism with nodes that people were looking at when making a decision was, what's the ROI and what's the opportunity cost of losing out on staking the SPS rather than using it to buy a node right now? And so fair enough, like, that's a very valid criticism, and that's a reason why I didn't go in on a node initially, or I didn't want to go in on a node initially, because it just didn't seem worth it. And I was one of those people that did not think that they were going to sell out in the first day and these were going to move relatively slow. So I was wrong there. But I think the criticism was valid, and it was valid enough that when they saw that, sure, selling out in 11 minutes on the pre-sale was fantastic, but the fact that we hit literally a wall in tranche one, to me, that and here's the thing, we hit a wall in tranche one, and these vouchers have never been close to the $3 discount that they're offering. Like they're trading at 75 cents right now. So people could come in and get significant discounts on the nodes themselves. So to me, that just says that the appetite and the demand isn't there anymore, right? Like you tapped out the demand of the community, and this ever so elusive outside money that we've been told about since Chaos Legion is continuing to sit on the sidelines. Now, I'm not saying that, when Matt or Aggro or talk about, this outside money being there, I don't doubt that they're having awesome conversations with people with very deep pockets. If we just take a step back though and look at where the world is, like broader, macroeconomic, supply chain issues, inflation, all this, I just can't see them investing in a game right now, right? Like I feel like many high level investors are very risk off. And the thing is, you see how risk off people are with Bitcoin, which I would say is the safest crypto asset. So who's going to invest in some really like micro cap crypto game? So to me, again, not trying to say that they're not having the conversations. It's just when I look at that, and now with the data that we have of like it actually not selling out or not selling as quickly, that's just the conclusion that I come to. It could be wrong, and I'm sure there's many holes that can be poked in it, but I don't know. It just seems like the money is going to be waiting on the sidelines for a while because of the fact that we're in a very like bear and risk off market.
I think more reason to think of a utility for SPS, right? To get those, that will push the sales for the nodes once that kind of, assurance comes for SPS.
Yeah, and I think he said Matt said they wanted to get the SPS rewards out by the end of August, and that they're going to do that whether or not they have the node software ready and available. So that could be a catalyst. Again, I don't know why, but I keep looking at the airdrop as like this massive cliff that we're about to jump off of, and we may fall, we may fly, we may do a little bit of both over the following weeks and months, but it's a big unknown, right? And so I wonder if there are many maybe outside investors that are looking at that too and saying, well, the incentive isn't there yet. Like, yeah. I don't want vouchers at 75 cents. I'll wait until the SPS thing starts. I'll wait to see how the game shakes out. We'll see if the game, quote unquote, collapses under the weight of its own success after the airdrop, which I don't think that will happen. But I do think that the market will definitely reprice itself, and people will probably open a bunch more packs, which could drive card values down.
Yeah.
But overall, like it's because people want to play with these cards, so eventually it'll get soaked up.
For sure. Yeah, I think if like small time investors like myself are not willing to have a flutter at these prices, then there's no way that the big boys are gonna drop a load of cash into SPS as well. All right, well, so we just started this new segment on our show last week, and it was a challenge, 1 versus 1. So if you're willing, Ben is ready and waiting, and I believe he's played you 4 times before, and he's lost all 4. I'm not too sure if you're aware of that.
I think I sent a message to Aftersound each time, like, you bastard.
We've met in the arena. So am I challenging you, Ben?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Or you mind sending it? Or
sure.
Want me to send
it? I'll send it.
Let's play what in gold.
Well, let's back up a stop. Which account do you have Darkest Nights cards on?
Play me. So I would say play me in the main Aftersound account. Now I have Darkest Nights cards in there, but I won't use them. I can't use them if you play in gold, because I'll be using. I'll be.
He's only cards. Delegated Chaos Legion to you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, so Aftersound gold. Here we go. Oh boy. Back to basics, and
this is always the worst rule set. Do you want to do a different one?
Yeah, let's I'll let you click surrender.
Nobody's gonna know in 5 years when we look back, right?
All right, here comes another challenge. Let's go. Let's get a 99 mana.
I guess I don't really like the back to basics. I got a comment recently on one of my videos. It's like, do you like are they going to get rid of the back to basics rule set too? And I was like, I haven't heard that, but I guess I would be okay with it because it's just so boring.
I think back to basics. There's a couple of summoners that really shine. Lear Deep Swimmer absolutely crushes back to basics because he's hucking back that return fire on everything, and he's got additional armor. Yeah. All right. So we've got Enraged and Little League. You wanna give this one a go?
If you're down, I'm down.
All right, let's go.
This is my go-to team. We'll see if they come through.
Oh boy. All right.
I think you're probably giving too much information there, Aftersound.
All right.
I think Ben's well aware of your go-to team.
I'm so predictable. That's the problem.
I think that's given me. I have a splinter in mind that I think Aftersound's probably going after, but we'll see if I'm right here.
We got a minute left. All right. I'm gonna change my strategy and see if I can.
Don't overthink it, Aftersound.
All right, fine. I won't overthink it. Now you're scaring me.
Is yours all loaded up, ready to go, Ben?
No, I'm overthinking it too.
Okay.
See, this right here is the value of doing like in-person competition.
Yeah, totally.
Because now this has added a whole other element to it.
One thing I wish that they would adjust about the challenges is if we were able to pick rule sets and mana caps.
That would be fun. I feel like that'd be great for like training with your guild or training with other people.
Yeah,
just to like,
for sure. Yeah,
okay.
You're able to throw your Gladius cards in there as well. Would be great.
Ooh, all right.
All right, let me share my screen and I'll go ahead and hit the. Oh, you went magic. I thought you were going death. I was convinced you were going death.
All
right.
Well, let's see. I'll watch it on your screen. So
what's the rule set? Sorry, I missed that. Is it Enrage and
Little League?
Yep.
Enrage and Little League.
Ooh,
So you've both gone with Blight.
Naga Assassin.
Okay, yeah, so let's talk through strategy real quick. I was counting on. I'm hoping that the Chaos Agent can cop maybe one magic and go completely invincible. Dr. Blight is pretty slow. Mycelia is pretty slow, so hopefully they won't touch Chaos Agent. I've got a little bit of armor if I can avoid getting stunned. Hopefully, yeah. What's
gonna hurt for me is that backfire because I got 2 sneak attackers and I need them both to knock you out in the first round. But if they miss, it's not just a miss. I'm also going to take some damage, which I won't appreciate.
Well, she's so the assassin. She's going to get enraged with one clip, right? And I've got armor coming from the Tower Griffin.
Move, very nice. Okay, so yep. There's no chance of taking that out right away,
unless you get poison, maybe.
I'm not calling it. I'm not going to count my chickens before they hatch, but I'm very much looking forward to putting a tally in that W column.
Let's see. All right, I'm not feeling very confident right now, but
Rumble. Let's go.
Is it a 2?
I forgot the -1 as well.
Didn't stick the
stun. Oh, stuck the stun.
Where's the enrage?
Well, because I didn't attack you.
Oh,
it's
you
just
got
your armor.
Oh,
right. See, there's the backfire. Got one hit, but I missed. No. I needed Blight to go first. Now that enrage is gonna screw me over.
Stunned. Right.
Nice stun.
Another
stuck a stun. That's interesting.
Soul Strangler. That's one of my favorite cards on the desk squad. That thing's awesome.
It just does. Oh no.
Miss.
Oh
yes.
My goodness.
Wow.
Well played.
Swing and a miss.
Well played, sir.
Chaos Agent.
I may not even touch you. Let's see if I can at least get the Chaos Agent.
Oh, all right. There it goes. Okay. it might be too little.
There's still hope. There's still hope.
No, it's too little, too late. It's my Blight against your Blight, and your Blight still has friends. GG's. Right. Well played.
Good game, man. Yeah. Woo. All right. We got a win in the W column. Very cool, man.
That's a solid strategy. I like that. So my problem is I wasn't thinking through the enrage rule set the way that you were. So that was a good strategy move there on the back end. Even though it didn't ultimately end up mattering because I couldn't even make it past the armor. But all of my guys were super slow, which is not good for Enrage. But
Yeah,
that's kind of my little league go-to team. I just like having Blight and Mycelia, and then kind of placing some talent around them. But usually it's mediocre talent.
I do like the I think Isa, the Fanged.
Mhm.
She gets some kind of unnecessary hate. The scavenge and the stun and the sneak, I think, is a really powerful kind of skill set. And I'll be interested to see what is that Earth legendary summoner. He's got some awesome artwork.
Yeah.
I wonder if you have to assume that it's not going to be magic focused. So what is that guy going to bring to the table for these other kind of mediocre cards, as you say? Yeah.
I wonder. Well, see, I don't hate Isa either because okay, maybe it's gold only because to me the value for her is really the stun, right? Like
Oh yeah.
scavenge is okay, it's fine, but when you can get a stun on like some of that back line, sometimes it doesn't matter, but sometimes it's awesome, right? Like you get a monster there that you can remove maybe one of the largest attacks.
Slow that
Yeah,
sneak.
yeah, and the fact that she's ranged, right? So if somebody's playing against the sneak attack, nobody plays against a ranged sneak attack. Everybody plays, will toss some thorns in the back or some shield in the back or a retaliate in the back, and none of those
Yeah.
things are really going to matter with Isa.
But
Awesome,
how about
man.
that Chaos Agent, man? Chaos Agent is a very
Underrated.
underrated card, very
Criminally
underrated, and
underrated. Yes.
well used in that battle.
One
Yeah,
mana,
big
man.
fan.
Amazing.
Big fan. Yeah.
What's your just before we leave, what is your favorite like go-to card? Like possibly the one you play the most or just the one you have most fun with? Is it too difficult a question?
No, well, I mean, I think Dr. Blight in gold is broken. Like it's one of those cards where it's won me more games than I probably deserve to win. Just because, and then there's also games where like this mofo can't even stick a affliction if I like put my life on it. But it happens. I would say that probably I love playing the water team, and I think Demon Shark is just not OP, but it's surprising how dominant he can be in many situations. Yeah. So really, like, I mean, I love that little trifecta that they have: Demon Shark, Flying Squid, and Deep Lurker.
Deep Lurker,
oh,
yeah. And then you pair it
bang,
like
bang, bang.
To me, like water, like Kelia gets all the love, right? Because she's a summoner, but I feel like water just has some of the best monsters and they all work so nicely together. Because you get River Hellendale level 2, he gets Inspires, and all of a sudden these guys are doing a ton of damage. And then Deep Lurker, or not Deep Lurker, but what's his name? Demon Shark with all that armor. If he gets the resurrect
back again,
yeah, then he gets all that armor back on top, and it's just like so annoying for other people.
And you mentioned before that
awesome.
You mentioned before that you have actually you do very well with water against Yodin and Kitty and all the big summoners, right? Is that
so? How... Yeah. Well, I mean, I was just surprised. So again, this goes back to like the experiment that Darkest Night and I were running. I was surprised that I was able to keep up with a lot of the Yodins and Kitties, and when I was getting wins, it was playing Kelia. So, she's the most expensive summoner right now, and I think that shows why, or at least for me, it was kind of the proof in the pudding of why.
Yeah.
Well, she also, to your point, has a really awesome supporting cast, and you didn't mention two of my favorite water cards, which is Bakjira and Wave Brood. I think those two together, that's like a Yodin wall, right? And now with Tidebiter, it's even he's got the, what is it, Reflection Shield?
Yeah, I haven't used that yet. Have you?
I haven't either, but just the prospect of having that blast proof reach monster is that makes it much more enticing and easier to play for the smaller mana matches. That's good stuff.
Yeah, it already seemed like Yodin was beatable in many instances. The thing is, like, when you're in the lower leagues, I feel like it's much more tough. But once you're in gold, you get a certain level of abilities that I feel like can help carry you. But now, like, this Reflection Shield, I feel like is directly aimed at nerfing Yodin in many levels and across many different splinters.
Yeah, but all of that being said, the two fire card new reward cards are right in Yodin's wheelhouse, right? The Scatter Shot and And the Countess, even though the Countess has been nerfed a little bit, when she's paired with Jotun, that's just beast mode, man.
Well, I mean, she was nerfed because if she had been in any other Splinter, I think it would have been fine. But the fact that you could pair her with Jotun, and now she's doing Opportunity, which is middle of the pack, blast with Jotun, and then getting life leech from 3 monsters every turn. Like that's like whoever has that combination. I mean, that's who you're gonna face in the leaderboard.
Yeah, that's the carry card, right? Like you'll stack up fiends and chickens just to get her in there. Awesome, man. Sure. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up. We've had you on the line for about 2 hours Aftersound. So again, we just want to extend our appreciation for you taking the time out of your day, your evening to hop on and have a little chat with us. And yeah, hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Yeah,
sounds good. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, it's been great, awesome. Man. Thank you so much.
Real quickly before you go, Aftersound, we do want to kind of plug your YouTube channel for those folks who have made it through to the end. Is it just Aftersound or Aftersound Music is the YouTube channel?
I mean, Aftersound Gaming is where you'll find Splinterlands content. So if you just go to YouTube and search Aftersound, all one word, you'll find me there. You'll find the music stuff, but if you're just interested in the gaming, there's a separate channel called Aftersound Gaming.
Very cool.
Great.
All right, man. Any last words of wisdom or I had never heard your saying when the tide goes out, see who's naked. Is that an old Tagalog phrase that's been translated to English? I wonder how that one's escaped me.
I think it's Warren Buffett.
Yeah, I think it might have been Warren Buffett. It's like when the tide goes out, you'll see who's swimming naked or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes it even funnier that this 90-year-old boomer is dropping. What an amazing expression. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's great. No, I mean, just everybody have fun with the game. I think that it's a good time to get in versus maybe like 6 months ago. So if you're just discovering it or if you're new, again, I don't think that this is something that's going to make you a millionaire, but if you play long enough, you never know. Also, I appreciate what you guys are doing. I think more content is great, and I wish you best of luck with the podcast. So let me know how I can help.
Appreciate that, man.
Thank you, everyone. You have been listening to
The People's Guild.